Welcome, Dr. Nejat, to Generation Next Fertility podcast.
Thank you so much, Dr. Luk.
Love seeing you today.
Delightful to be here with you, as always.
So I think it is great to tell the audience how all this started, how Generation Next Fertility, how we met. And I know you remember a little bit more details than I do, so I'm going to let you tell them how we started this place, how we found this, how we started this, how we met.
Yeah. So let me go back to my first memory of laying eyes on Janelle Luk. I was interviewing at Harvard for fellowship training in reproductive endocrinology and infertility. And all of the applicants were seated at a conference table.
Yes.
And there was Janelle, one of the few people that I hadn't met already, in a gray suit. And we went around the table. We all introduced ourselves. It was a brief exchange on that day. And then the next time that I met you was when you were, you'd already graduated from fellowship. Uh-huh. You were working at New Hope, and I was interviewing there.
Yes.
And I saw you, I met you. You were busy as ever, which certainly hasn't changed to this day. And we had a brief exchange there. But even that brief exchange was influential for me because I knew about you. I knew, where you came from and what you'd accomplished up until that point in your career. And as I was looking for my first position out of training, I was trying to figure out where I wanted to go. And that gave me great comfort that you were working there as really the lead infertility specialist at that practice at the time. And I joined the practice, and then we got to know each other pretty well, pretty fast. We worked there together for about a year. We went on to another private practice where we were the only two physicians for 3 years. And towards this latter half of those 3 years is when we really began to get serious about.
Now this is 2015, 16, the end of it.
That's right.
I did have Madison, my daughter, was right around that time.
Yes, I remember Madison.
So 2016,
Madison.
As wow, time flies.
And I'd always dreamed of owning and operating a private practice ever since I was a medical student. And when I was going through my training, I wasn't sure exactly in what capacity that was going to look like. Initially, I thought I would do it on my own. But when I met you and when we worked together and got to know each other, it became pretty clear pretty quickly that we were a great partnership. And we have skill sets that complement each other really well. And we demonstrated at that practice where we were working that we could really grow a practice and deliver outstanding care. And that gave us the comfort and the confidence to go on and found Generation Next, which we did in 2017.
And I want to add, Dr. Nejat already described majority of the how we met, but I think the passion and mission that you and I both had is really what make Generation Next Fertility very different than any other IVF center, such as our passion with diminished ovarian reserve patients, where we saw how this was done at other office, because Dr. Nejat and I both from places that were traditional IVF centers, and I think we found a way and really feel passionate about, hey, you can do it differently. If the patient does not get great results with that way, you can do it differently. Think outside the box. And I think the patient obviously are very excited about that, because when something keep on having the same results with the same treatment, they want something different. Mm-hmm. And I felt that from you, that you're okay to try something different, and you would do that because patients want it, because patients are the truth.
Absolutely. And I want to echo that sentiment, because not only are we passionate about taking care of our patients with diminished ovarian reserve, we have attained such incredible expertise over our years, somewhat in training, but I would say even more so after training as attending physicians in the practices in which we worked. And yeah, I think it's an incredible service that we offer for the right patients, and patients seem to really appreciate it and do very well, whereas otherwise they may not be successful.
And it's true, it's not just patients with diminished ovarian reserve. We have patients who can get 20 eggs and 15 eggs, and other places where they didn't achieve what they want with their embryos or the transfer with a euploid embryo. And so myostimulation or anything that Generation Next Fertility that you and I, we try to keep on improvising, changing, alternating to help this group of patients is something not easy. Not every doctors are open to that. We know that from our patients, they tell us. Not every doctors are willing to also look at different things to improvise and changes, because many of us are trained in one set way.
Right.
And that is interesting how, the history of medicine and the forward as you and I are in our career, as we watch each other also grow, has grown in the last 10 years. And I was just joking around with Dr. Nejat during our personal meeting that, oh my God, I know you, I see you as often because we've been with each other for the last 10 years. So I was just telling my husband, I know Dr. Nejat for 10 years. I see him as much as I see you. So it is amazing that the journey that we have, done.
I agree. It's been quite the journey. And I think another important thing that we both felt so passionately about when we founded Generation Next was the patient experience.
Yes.
We came from places where that was really not the focus. And we saw the effect that had on patients going through such a difficult, challenging, emotionally charged time in their lives. And we both saw very eye to eye that was not the right way to deliver care. And we take great pride in doing it differently at Generation Next and ensuring that the patient experience is really at the center of all of our staff's minds when it comes to how we approach our patients. And that was relatively straightforward when we were a smaller practice, 2 doctors, maybe 8 staff. It was much easier to deliver that level of service at that size. But as we continue to grow, the challenges present themselves, but I think we've always held true to that mission and instill this notion in all of our staff that the patient experience is everything.
I mean, we're not perfect. There are always that, one couple of patients say, Dr. Luk, how come you think, or what happened, the phlebotomy, or it's not a perfect picture. And I'm very honest with my audience about this stuff. But that is our main goal, and we wholeheartedly with it. And I just was, I know a couple of episodes ago with Grace, one of our staff, and it's just listening to her with her passion. And that's what really we want to recruit, is people who are compassionate about fertility care, about women's health care, to work at Generation Next Fertility. So it is something that I really wants to, as our goal as a founder and co-founder to this office, is that our employee and our team feel as much as we do and compassionate about fertility care or women's health care.
Absolutely. And our field is different than most insofar as it really takes 10, 15, 20, 30 people to take someone through an IVF cycle. Whereas if you go to cardiologist's office, internist office, surgeon's office, it's a much smaller team. We have a lot of touch points, and we rely on our team members to take care of our patients. We're not there every single step of the way. But our staff is an extension of us, and we really focus on their training, focus on recruitment, ensuring we're getting the best and the brightest and the most compassionate, like you said. Absolutely.
So Dr. Nejat, I will also chime in too, but what do you see the progress in 2023 for Generation Next Fertility, and what do you see in it in the future?
I love those questions. I think this has been an exceptional year for us thus far. We're about halfway through the year, and we've been investing in our staff so much over the course of our time. And I think we're really seeing that level of investment in our staff paying off more than we have in the previous 5 years, which is beautiful. So that has helped us prepare for bringing on our fourth physician. Dr. Sechkin will be joining us in the fall, graduate of the Columbia Fellowship Program, incredibly talented, energetic, bright, compassionate young doctor. We're really excited to bring her on to our team, and I'm fully confident that she has exactly what we're looking for in terms of all of the things that we've just been talking about, of not only clinical acumen, but compassion, caring, thoughtful. She definitely seems to hit all of those notes. And as we bring her on and get her up and running, that is super exciting for the second half of this year. And we'll continue into 2024. Also in 23, we opened our first satellite office in Westchester and Hartsdale, which is providing, just expanding our geographic reach for our patients who live north of us. So that, because monitoring, for an IVF cycle, 5, 6, 7 visits in 2 weeks, it's a lot, especially if you don't live in Manhattan. That commute can really be extremely burdensome.
Absolutely.
So we're happy to have the convenience of the Hartsdale location for our patients to make that a little bit easier. And we have our eyes on potentially an additional satellite or two coming down the pike at some point soon.
Great. Dr. Nejat, I'm very excited for you to be here today. And this is very interesting, very fascinating, because we did this one time. I don't know if you remember that 5 to 6 years ago.
I remember.
When we first started, one of the things that I was so excited with you was that we built our own lab also, and how we have different structure in place, from staffing to technology. And, Dr. Broussard have joined us as the lab director. Also, I produce lots of things on the scientific side. In terms of research, is Generation Next are we doing any research or exciting things that's coming up? Or?
We are. We've been performing research for several years now. I think the most exciting thing we have in the pike right now is our PRP study.
Yep.
Platelet-rich plasma. This is an experimental technique that has been used in several applications in medicine. It's been used in degenerative joint disease, in male pattern baldness, in some cosmetic procedures. And what we do is now we've been expanding that to use in the ovaries by drawing blood from the patient's veins, centrifuging it, spinning it, isolating the elements that are most highly enriched with platelets, and then injecting those platelets into the ovaries. And the technique has been described for several years now, and we've been offering it for, I would say, a year, maybe 18 months. And it does seem to have some regenerative effects on the ovaries for some women. But in order to really understand if it's effective, we designed a double-blinded randomized control trial to really get to the bottom of, is this a technique that improves outcomes? And the study design is complete. Recruitment is starting. We are very excited to offer that to women who might benefit from it, and to really answer a pressing scientific question of, is this treatment option effective or not?
Well, and I also want to share one more study, is the LPS, the luteal phase stimulation. Our abstract just got accepted.
Yes,
so yes,
I saw that.
Yay.
It is exciting.
So we're very excited. Luteal phase stimulation means first part of the stimulation is the follicular phase, and luteal phase, the second part of the stimulation, means the patient will be stimulated after egg retrieval to stimulate the follicles that didn't get as big. And if there's an opportunity to do so, usually our doctors, including myself, would suggest to the patients, should we do it again to stimulate the smaller follicles that we couldn't get it during the first retrieval. And some of the data that's coming out is pretty amazing in terms of blastocyst formation rate. Obviously, I know everyone loved the live birth rate. We still need time to get that, but our euploid rate and so forth has been pretty significant. So
amazing. I mean, I can picture the patients in my head where we've had suboptimal outcomes in the follicular phase, and we then pursue the luteal phase, and then boom, blastocysts, several of them. Dare I say, somewhat unexpectedly. I mean, it is pretty amazing because with the luteal phase stimulation, to a certain extent, we're going against the grain of natural fertility. Normally, in the follicular phase, that's when the dominant follicle is produced. But with the luteal phase stimulation, we're stimulating the follicles further to grow when they're normally not growing as much during that second half of the menstrual cycle. But we're seeing really impressive outcomes for some of our patients there. And that can be a great option for the right patient in the right cycle. I think the selection is really critical, and that's what takes a lot of experience and expertise that we certainly have here. But it's one of those treatment options that most centers are not offering it.
Absolutely.
And some centers that are, I don't know how well they understand how to select the right patients.
Well, Dr. Nejat, first of all, I know you expressed why you lay your eyes on me. So I lay my eyes on you is when we also, at that time, but I think I get to know you much more. It's our first job that we're together. We would talk about abdominal retrieval. I know we were still doing that right now. And just talking about many things about an IVF center was our mission and was the dream of IVF center we had. And oh my God, we finally, I think in some ways, our dream came true. This being our 6th year, is that correct?
Yes.
Yes, 6th year.
Yeah, our 6th anniversary we just celebrated. And, you know, for me, this definitely has been a lifelong dream. And to be living it is so wonderful and amazing. I mean, the field in and of itself is an amazing field to be able to practice medicine in.
Yep.
And to be doing it in a way where we are operating the practice and directing the ship and delivering the level of service and the outcomes that we dreamed of delivering is amazing and so enjoyable.
This is my final question because we're wrapping up this interview. If you one thing you want to share with the audience about Generation Next Fertility, anything you would like to tell the audience?
Yeah, I think we touched on a lot of the points here today, but I would say I think that what's most important in choosing a fertility specialist and a practice is making sure that your connection with the physician is the right connection. There are a lot of smart people in our field, especially in this town, and you can get good medical care at a lot of different practices. But if you're looking for forging a strong connection with a doctor who's going to be compassionate and understanding and able to really listen to your needs and desires and goals, I think that we do it better than anywhere else.
Well, thank you so much. I cannot agree, more. So,
thanks, Dr. Luk.
Thank you.